production class at Innisdale Secondary School would like to recognize the Indigenous communities across Turtle Island who lost their children to the residential school system. Every child matters. The Simcoe District School Board acknowledges we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people on this land, and we are committed to moving forward in a spirit of reconciliation and respect.
We have breaking news of yesterday's arrest at the Maple Crest Mall. 48-year-old Aaron James is in critical condition after use of excessive force by police constable John Williams for suspected theft. Bystanders claim that Williams put his hands on James before he was asked to empty his bags or his pockets. The suspected theft had been called in by a local game center employee, reporting James to have been acting suspicious. Bystanders report James was followed out of the mall by Constable Williams, who proceeded to grab James aggressively and lead him to his car. As James struggled, Williams became increasingly violent, forcing James onto the hood of his cruiser and completing the arrest.
I saw the whole thing. The police officers just followed him out of the mall, and they followed the whole family, and he didn't even read him his rights. He just started asking questions, and he just immediately got aggressive with him, and it was just so scary. His family was right there, and they had to see as their father was just being taken away, held against the car, and arrested. It was so horrible, and no one did anything about it.
The citizens of small Townsville. Ever so in the dark they are. Following this news, let's see how our cast of average students in an average school are getting along. Welcome to Rose Tinted Shades.
You're not listening. You're not.
I looked at him in the eyes when he said it. I looked at him in the eyes when he said it. I looked at him in the eyes when he said it.
I speak up, I'm shut down. I speak up, I'm shut down. I speak up, I'm shut down.
Oh boy, another black person on the news. Oh boy, another black person on the news.
I have
Oh
lost
boy,
a sense
another
of
black person on
myself.
the news.
I have lost a sense of myself. I have lost a sense of myself.
I'm so glad I answered. I've been wanting to tell you something that's been really bothering me. I've been playing this scene over and over again in my mind, just trying to make sense of it. I mean, I barely know the guy. Why would he say such a thing? Oh yeah, right. I'm sorry for rambling. I'll tell you what happened. So, last week Friday, I was at my church's youth group, and, well, you know the guy Pierce? Yeah, well, he kind of referred to me as a slave. Yeah, I'm sure of it. Once he realized that I've heard him, he gasped and looked directly at me. Yeah, I don't know what to do. After that, he told me that I suck, even though I've never spoken to him before. He just makes me really uncomfortable whenever I go there. Should I tell an adult? Or maybe you can help me speak to him. Oh. It's not a big deal? You think I'm creating problems out of nothing? So when Stacy called you fake in front of all of her friends, that was nothing. No, yeah, I understand. I guess what I think, what I feel, doesn't matter, right? No, yeah, I totally get it. You're tired. I guess I'll go to someone else who cares. I'll see you at school.
while back, my friend Keisha told me a story, and I didn't know how to help her. That reminded me of a time when I was younger. I would sit in my classroom, learning new things, reading lots of books, writing stories, repeat. I'd sit in my classroom with my peers, so we'd become friends and we'd have lots of fun until I would sit in my classroom with my peers who sometimes got treated differently than me. Noticing that you are being treated differently than your peers is a hard thing to come to terms with, yet I did it in just the 4th grade. I would sit in my classroom with my peers who got treated differently than me about something that they can't control. This is a sentence that I would repeat to myself every day, and I'd ask myself why. Why does Sally get treated better than Jimmy if they do the same thing? Why can't we all treat others the way we want to be treated? And then it clicked. I can't understand it because it's something that I never experienced. I'd sit in my classroom with my peers who get treated differently than me for something that they can't control. And what did I do about it? Nothing. I did absolutely nothing. I sat in my classroom with my peers who got treated differently than me for something that they can't control, and I did absolutely nothing. Why? Why didn't I do something about it? Why did I just stand by and watch? Doesn't that just make me as worse as everybody else? Yes, it absolutely does. It's because I was scared. I sat in my classroom with my peers who got treated differently than me for something that they can't control, and I did absolutely nothing about it because I was scared. And I hate myself for it.
Opposites? Or two sides of the same coin? Kaisha shocked into silence as the victim, and Daphne shocked into silence as the bystander. Are you confused? And why is that? What would you do if you could ask them anything about their actions? Let's see what Bailey does next.
I speak up, I'm shut down. If I'm quiet, I'm letting the problem stay. That poor man is being held down in the parking lot, and everyone's just watching and whispering and enjoying the fact that it's not them. One voice in the crowd is not loud enough to calm the storm, but allowing that storm to stay will never let it pass off from those who are in it. I scream and tell them to end their hate, but only in my mind those words will stay. Being only a teenage girl, how many will listen to what I have to say, or even take it seriously? You're too sensitive. These problems don't exist, is what I've been told. So maybe my thoughts should just stay shut, and my thoughts locked away. After all, adults know best, right? Or should I speak up? I risk getting singled out? Maybe I'm just a puddle. I'm just a splash of them by doing nothing. Or I could continue to be a soldier in this battle for equality.
Oh boy, another black person on the news. This ought to be good. What's their name? Oh, what does that matter? Either way, there'll be another new one tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Just like the ones from yesterday, last week, last month, last year. How old were they? No, really, that young? Just kidding. That doesn't surprise me. Black kids all around get a crash course in how to live day by day as a criminal. The crime, possession of melanin. They tell you to keep your head down, your hands where they can see them. Don't run and don't talk. Keep a level head with a gun drawn to it, and maybe, just maybe, you'll make it out alive. But there's no cure for this sickness, this black death I've got. Fitting name for it, since that's all I seem to see. In the streets and in the news, their faces bleed together now, and the stories are all the same. He was on drugs, they protest. She had a knife, they cry out. All perfectly good reasons to be executed free of trial, but what only amount to the drivers to the courthouse. They hiss and they spit with their excuses, justifications, reasons why my right to live is a political thing, that our grief is theirs to debate over. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle they're on, I remain a talking point before I am a person. Where my rights to be free hangs in the balance of people who rarely even look like me. So what's there to do for kids like me, living in a world where from day one you're told in a million silent messages that you fundamentally don't matter? You could cry. That's the easiest answer, most tempting one, too. Lock yourself inside. Not that you're even safe in your own home, but it's safer than out there. They'll tell you to be strong and fight the good fight, but it gets harder and harder with each new tomb. My tried and true method, you ask? Well, I'm happy to share. I laugh. I laugh and I joke. I make fun of those who would look me in the eyes and call me some slur. I tell stories to my friends about some white woman saying with a straight face that immigrants don't belong in this country while dying of laughter. And sure, it's immature, insensitive to those we've lost, you could say. But I raise you this. What else is there to do anymore? We've been fighting since we got here, and it's gotten us far, but I really don't know how much longer I'll be expected to fight. To cry, to care. You grow numb to it, the black people in the news. And I've been told I have a great laugh after all. Maybe that's what they'll put in the story when it's my turn to make headlines.
And what an unfortunate headline it would be. Stand-up is no easy career, no joke if you will. Though some of our former characters varied in shade just like their experiences. What would friend groups of no color have to say about the politics of today and yesterday? Let's see what local gym boy Brent has to say about the subject.
I was at the mall with Emmett. Me and him were chilling at the food court, just hanging out, when all of a sudden we see a black guy getting taken out of the mall. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was too focused on the sub that I just got. After a while, me and Emmett decided to leave because we decided to go to the gym that day. When we left, we saw the same black guy getting put into a cop car. Pretty aggressively, actually. I didn't think anything of it. I was too focused on getting to the gym. Emmett kept looking, and I told him that we had to get going. As we're driving, Emmett kept trying to talk to me about racism and what we saw. I told him to shut up because I'm not trying to listen to all that right now, and I told him to focus on the gym. When we're at the gym, Emmett looked really sick. He was holding his stomach. He kept looking at his phone. He said he needed to go home, and I said, okay. I just kept working out. I didn't really think of it.
Dude, that's not cool.
What?
You seriously didn't care? Like, at all?
Is it such a crime to focus on myself?
When people's lives are at stake? Yeah, sort of.
It has nothing to do with me. Why should I care?
Because everything you just said is definitely messed up.
I've got my own things to worry about.
How are we supposed to make any progress when everybody that's affected by this stays out of it?
I don't know. They'll figure it out.
Brent?
Oh my god. It's not that big of a deal.
And Emmett was clearly uncomfortable as well. And you didn't care about that either?
Guys, it's fine.
No, it's not. You told him it wasn't right and he completely brushed it off. It's not okay.
Guys, geez, come on. This is really not that big of a deal. You guys are being ridiculous.
Brent, you're not listening. People are suffering and you can't stop thinking about yourself. This world, this system, it's because of us. And for far too long we've accepted it because it's convenient. I saw it this morning. I went to get coffee before school and I got served before the Johnsons did, and they were waiting for their drinks before I had even ordered. And getting my coffee is just the tip of the iceberg. That man arrested at the mall was Mr. James, our 8th grade teacher, the one who was so much fun and was so nice to everybody. But I vividly remember our parents telling us to be wary of him. And now he's being arrested and manhandled in front of his kids. You're telling me you could think about all of that and not care? It's not that you don't see color. You definitely do. You just love that yours makes life easy. Because you've never had to wait longer for your coffee, and you've certainly never been approached by security at the mall. Hell, Brent, I've seen you actually steal and get away with it. We've all heard the way you talk about this stuff. You've made every excuse in the books, but you can't keep ignoring what's right in front of you. We've had this conversation too many times, and if you want to keep me in your life, you're going to have to do better, because I'm tired of people being told their lives don't matter, while you're too busy needlessly reminding the world that yours does.
I think we all need a breather.
Oh, what's going on?
You okay? You kind of got involuntarily thrown into that conversation.
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't love being spoken for.
Yeah, well, does anyone?
Yeah, that's fair. The day with Brent was weird, though.
Yeah, it seems like you saw things a little different than he did.
Yeah, I mean, I first saw it at the mall. I don't really go out that much. I'm not a huge fan of large groups of people. But Brent is. Brent wanted to go get lunch and then go work out. I normally work out at home, but I guess that day he was just more stubborn than normal. He can be like that. We were eating at the food court on the outer rim of the tables, ready to leave when we were finished. And we looked over. When we heard yelling and grunting, we saw a couple of cops wrestling a black man towards the exit. He didn't look like a threat. Hell, I even think I saw his kids over to the side looking scared. We were looking towards this, but Brent's attention immediately got sucked back into his sandwich. I couldn't look away. I wanted to get up, do something, maybe? I thought, they're cops. They know best, right? I decided it was best to just let them handle it. When we were leaving, me and Brent ran into the man and the cops again. And the man was pushed to the ground. He was on his knees. And I don't think I was close enough to really tell. I think he might have been crying. No matter what the cops thought, this was way too much brute force for one guy, who also might have been with his kids. I got a sickening feeling in my stomach. I mean, this is Barrie, right? It's a nice, peaceful city. I mean, I've never had a problem here. And the moment I thought that, I got even sicker. Right. I know why I've never had a problem here. Maybe I don't know my home as well as I thought I did. At this point, I want to step in and do something, but I'm still unsure. Plus, Brent, he saw this and just walked over to his car. I know he saw it, so he's just ignoring it. I asked him about it on the way to the gym, and every question, just like it hit a wall. He dismissed every concern, didn't think about any question, and just became more exasperated and tired the more I talked. So eventually, I stopped. We were in the gym, but I couldn't bring myself to exercise. Brent just went on like it was another day, unfazed. I had to leave early. I obviously didn't know as much as I thought I did. My sister's pretty politically inclined, and I have some friends who are pretty invested in social change and social justice, so I thought I could get more information from them. Of course, I know racism exists, but, you know, this is Ontario, Canada. We're supposed to be accepting of all different types of people. And I learned very quickly that this isn't very true. I was given a place to start, and I went out from there. I read articles, I donated what I could to charity. It's not nearly enough of what I should be doing, what we should be doing. I learned there were protests for the man. I can't not attend them. I only hope I can get Brent to see it the same way.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I get what you mean, though. A lot of these racist topics we haven't been seeing before, they've been coming to light now recently, you know? It's hard to ignore.
It's coming to light only recently. It's hard to ignore. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, you know, it's extra hard because Brent's my friend. I want to help him get there. I don't know. Alice has a point. I don't know if he's going to respond very well to that.
Yeah, I don't either. Brent's stupid and stubborn. He's always defensive, too. Him and Alice have been friends for years, and you just start losing your patience with them at some point, you know?
Yeah. And I know he has the capacity to care. He's just never been taught how dangerous his apathy can be.
Yeah, well, our family is not the most socially aware out there. Hell, I had to go out of my way to learn everything I know right now. And he won't listen to a single word I say, because I'm his big brother. But maybe you, Emmett, you can put Brent on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so.
I looked at him in the eyes when he said it. Please don't say it, Brent. Please, I know you see me looking at you. That's what I thought when we were sitting across from him. But he said it. I knew he would say it. He always says it. I hope and I pray that he'll stop, but he never does. How can he continuously turn his head to the completely unwarranted violence that people go through just because of the color of their skin? Does he not understand that I am one of those people? How can he say that it doesn't matter? He says he cares about me. He thinks we're friends. And then he goes on and talks like this? How can he do that? I don't get it. Brent is smart. He has to understand how his carelessness makes me feel. I mean, I know I've never asked him, but he should say something. He should just know. Maybe if he saw the way people talk to me, the way they shout from across the room, the way they stare, maybe then he would understand.
God, I hear you, Charlie. I hear you. I can't believe he said that today. I'm so sorry.
It's not the first time it's happened.
I know. He's been like this for as long as I've known him, and honestly, I'm at the end of my rope.
I'm just glad you finally told him how we've all been feeling.
Exactly. I mean, Brent has a lot of great qualities, but it doesn't justify the ignorance. And I don't know, I tried to look past it for so long, but I'm done.
You're right. I don't know why we let it go for so long.
Can you believe how everyone is acting right now?
I know. It's especially hard for others. Have you seen some of the headlines in the news just today?
It's horrible. Aggressive black male arrested for theft at Maple Crest Mall. Why do they need to mention the color of his skin?
Exactly. This wouldn't have been spread around as much if it was a white guy.
That's what I'm saying.
How is any of this supposed to change when the media broadcasts situations like this where they're made to look criminal?
Yeah, we were both there and he wasn't even acting aggressive.
That's what I'm worried about.
They say things that aren't even true to make it seem like what the police and the government is doing is totally okay.
I completely agree, but what can we do as allies to help fix this?
Hey, I know, you heard? I had a similar experience to that. You want me to tell you about it? Okay. It's dug out of the van in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The first thing I noticed was the scorching heat from the sun burning the back of my neck. There was a slight breeze in the air, but it was not strong enough to cool me off in even the slightest way. The worst part was, it wasn't even 11 o'clock yet. My family and I had stopped here because it was just off of the highway, and it was on the way to Miami. This ground was a pale pink stone instead of asphalt, and the sound of cars traveling at high speeds filled my ears. Big Box looked the same as any other, green with a yellow sign depicting its name. The only difference that I could see was that we were the only white faces. I didn't really think much about this until we got to the doors, and a man came up to us and said in a deep, raspy voice, "Are you sure you want to go into this big box? There's another one just up the street." My dad replied that we were fine going to this one, because we didn't need a lot, and it wouldn't be worth our time to go to a different one just a few miles up the road. We proceeded into the store, and I realized that it was so much different from the other stores I'd been in. There was glass in front of everything. Yeah, everything, including the cereal. Was this big box's attempt at preventing stealing just because this is a black community? Or is it to protect items from being stolen, as it has happened before? Either one is unacceptable. Fort Lauderdale is such a wealthy community, so how can this area be so poor that people need to steal to survive? Also, is Big Box stereotyping this community just because it is a primarily black community by putting up the glass barricades? After I was done observing this, I looked around and noticed that there were significantly less employees than the other stores I'd been in. The atmosphere felt like sadness and hardship under mask of dirtiness. It appears that Big Box had not staffed enough custodians with enough cleaning supplies to properly clean everything down. The looks and stares made me feel out of place as we walked through the store, but my parents kept smiling and nodding at other customers, showing them that we were harmless. I smiled at a few other kids who looked to be about the same age as me, and to my surprise, they smiled back. I saw some parents smile when they saw this, as if they were happy to see that people from different ethnicities were getting along. When we went to an employee for help, he gave us a find it yourself look, but reluctantly helped us. I felt that this was because of our skin color, not simply because he didn't want to help us. Once we were finally finished, we proceeded to check out. The lady at checkout seemed startled that white people were shopping here. She asked us what we were doing at this big box when we could have gone to a nicer one just a few minutes up the road. My mom replied that we were fine to be in this one, even though it didn't have people that looked like us. It was just off of the highway, and we didn't need a lot. She chuckled and smiled and said, "Well, I'm glad you came. We don't normally see this kind of equality being shown. Have a nice day." We picked up our bags and proceeded to our van. As we left the store, I couldn't stop thinking about how uncomfortable I felt to be in there, with no one of the same skin color as me. It was eye-opening to see that inequality still exists, and it is sad to watch, especially in a community with such wealth and prosperity. We loaded up our van with the snacks and wireless headphones from my grandpa and drove off. On our ride to Miami, I could not stop thinking about what I just experienced must be how a black person feels in a predominantly white community such as small Townsville. It was heartbreaking and made me want to try and make everyone feel included. I now knew what it was like to be the only one to look different and could not imagine experiencing that every day of my life. Well, would you look at the time? I have to go. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Wow, I can't believe this is still happening.
Did I hear that right? Did those words actually come from his mouth? I must have misheard him. Why isn't anybody saying anything? I can't believe you fell to me as a sign. The silence is all I hear, it's all I need. Why aren't I saying anything? Well, what can I say that'll make him take me seriously? I saw late telling that this would happen to me. Maybe I tried to find places, but I opened my mouth to speak. I guess I'll never regret that. What if I stutter? What if I fumble with my words and I come on out of mess? I can't risk looking like an idiot, so I'm probably looking weak. Only told me wrong like a long cost promotion. Only literally did me wrong, really doesn't show for nothing. But then again, why would he look at me like that? Why do you give us such big announcements in ways that I've heard him? The next time he says like that, I want to say at least something. I don't want my heart to make lots of war rubbing our place. I don't want to look weak or better till my first reason to use it. Won't let me let go. This
wanna go, looking inside the brain. Slow person. Do you hear that? Alright, it's me. Not a stutter, not a mess, not pathetic, not weak. Just a voice that's being heard.
No, show is not over. It's not over. I still have my bit to do. Come on, lights up. I have lost a sense of myself, one that I've never gotten a chance to know. I always had these fears integrated into my consciousness as water to skin, but they were there, buried underneath my performance, but there. I had once believed that the hate I experienced was a matter of the people I came across in life. Just coincidence, consistent yet cruel coincidence. And I had once believed that their constant reminders, the daily reminders of how I was different, was just childlike curiosity, with those little pale hands gripped and pulling at my hair, extended and pointing at not just my nose and my lips, but my skin. And once I had believed that to everyone, I was my character. I knew who I was and who I was meant to be, and so did everyone else. I was wrong. I was quickly taught that I am not my character. But perhaps an empty vessel molded of clay by those same pale white hands to hold their bloodied white tears. Every day, I grieve for who I could have been, who I would have played, and who I would have been had it not been for what? Had it not been for what? Was it the isolation? Was it the pressure to rid myself of my features and conform? Is that what it was? Or maybe it was when the looks of confusion turned into hatred. Or was it when I was out with my parents and my father was off to the side confronting the man who called me up under his breath? I wonder what he could have said. Or maybe it was when I was told that I didn't belong here. And when I was told by those same people to go back to Africa when I had never been. Though I'm not angry, I'm not upset. I was just being assigned my role. Any anger I felt was not palatable to the viewers anyways. I'm sure it was just a character choice. And I always had this big character, but I had to make it small. I understand that it was inconvenient for the directors, but that's enough about me. Let's talk about last summer. Another award-winning performance, that of which the inspiration was beyond devastating. Then, more than ever, they wanted to hear more of me. More of my expression, my grief, my anger, my loudness. But their own silence was more excruciating than our screams as they listened to the live feed of our corpses hitting the pavement. When we watched that, it was no longer detachable. When we were watching it, we saw ourselves. I think that's what it was. Through that morning, we had to do the fighting. We had to do the educating. We had to make the change because everyone else wanted a performance. And the performance we gave them, a performer I was. I was no longer given a chance to pick who I could have been, who I wanted to play. I was assigned a role. I cried, I kicked, I mourned, I screamed, I educated, I protested, and I witnessed while we were gutted and made into an empty vessel, molded of clay by those same white hands to carry their own bloody tears. Everywhere I turned, the constant ringing voices of tell us what we can do. What can I do to help? Tell me about your fears. Let me listen to you cry. And I did. I did. I am not my character. I was thrown onto the stage, expected to do everything I could and do a little dance while I was at it. For what? I wanted to do everything I could. I did everything I could. I couldn't stop doing everything I could. But why did it have to be me? Why did it have to be me on that stage? instead of taking it down because you built it. I have lost a sense of myself, one that I've never gotten a chance to know, because I was turned into an empty vessel for the sake of them, the sake of a performance. And what a lovely one it had been, am I right? Come on, guys, method acting. But here I stand before you today, in which I tell you this is my final performance, a scene coming to a close. I'm passing on the torch, for I am a puppet, a vessel no longer. 18 years an actor. It is time for me to remain loud and proud, but pass on a torch. And learn once again what it's like to play me. That's the scene. I'm done. Thank you. Lights down.
All these voices in my head getting louder, hanging on by a thread, where's my power? I feel helpless, you just bring me down. All the sirens going by, getting faster. There's no right path, I can choose, what's the answer? No one's helping me 'cause they're all blind. Another story, another heart broken, and no one's helping, but they're still fighting. What can I do? What can I say? I can't make change today. What should I do? What should I say? I can't make change today. What should I do? What should I say?
Okay, thank you so much for watching.
This has been a collaboration between the ISS production team and Making Change.
We really hope you enjoyed the show.
And now we're ready to take some questions you may have after watching. But firstly, starting with our introduction, Laura Chappelle is a 30-year veteran in community theater, having worked with many theater groups in both the Georgian Triangle and Toronto. She was our artist mentor throughout the creative process, sharing her personal and theatrical experience. We are so grateful for her knowledge and collaboration. Please join us in welcoming Laura to the Q&A. Laura, how do you feel about being such an important part of this production?
Laura, we're so sorry, you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for having, had me a part of this incredible journey. It's been a real mix of emotions for me. Obviously, first and foremost, I'm so proud of all of the students that worked on this. Just amazing. All of your heart and soul was put into this, and everyone just kind of put themselves out there. And it was just wonderful to see all the wonderful little talents you guys have and what you brought to the table. And I'm proud to have been a part of the journey. I'm also happy that this opportunity has been embraced by everyone and the teachers and the school board. And I hope this really opens the doors for other schools to follow suit and do this. And it makes me feel like when I was a student, I wish there had been this kind of experience, for me to have been a part of when I was a young actor. So bravo, everybody. And thank you again for making me feel a part of it. Well done.
Thank you. For everything. So now we can get into some of the questions. So to begin, what inspired all of you to go with this theme?
I think of a lot of what inspired us to go with this theme
definitely had to be the events of last summer, 2020, and just what's been going on um, throughout the years, the decades, and everything. Um, Racism didn't just happen, it's been there for years, especially anti-Black racism. It's in every community. And I think a lot of what our production was trying to say is that it needs to be addressed, and we need to start it's not enough to be just not racist anymore. You have to be anti-racist. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And our next question is, how did you feel about seeing the completed project come together as a whole?
I think this is something that Liam could speak really well to, as he did so much of the editing. Liam, how did it feel once it was all done and you could watch it all be put together?
Oh, it was absolutely cathartic. It was so touching to see the hard work that everybody had put in, finally stitched together, polished, and ready to ship out for everyone to see. It was it was really meaningful to be able to have that experience, to not only be able to put it together, but once it was done, to be able to sit back and watch it and think, this is something that we all put time and effort into, and this is something that I think we all enjoyed the process of creating, and it was important.
Awesome. Yeah, well put. Next we've got, did any of you encounter any difficulties or problems while filming or writing or creating this production?
Well, during my scene with my group, I noticed that during my monologue, there was a bit of an audio issue, but I was able to get people from the tech team to help me to clear it up and make it a lot better. So big thanks to them.
Great. Sorry. So I know we already talked about what inspired this theme, but I just wanted to ask, was there a specific thing, in the process of creating this production that you saw or heard and it just clicked that we need to talk about this topic and this needs to be something that we show to our audience? Was there a specific thing that, kind of sparked that, or was it just something that we had in mind at the beginning?
I can take this one. I think we always knew from like the beginning kind of what direction we wanted to take this in, and then it was really solidified when we had Amber Beckett come in from Making Change and give us a presentation. And in that moment during the presentation, I think it kind of solidified for everyone that this is what we want to do for sure. And I think it was just kind of like a universal kind of like agreement, like this is what we're gonna do.
Okay, great.
Yeah. A question from the audience. How long did this production take to make?
If nobody else wants to, I can take this one. We really started it at the beginning of, the quadmester, I guess. But so it took the whole 2 and a bit months to put together. But once we really started filming and working on it, it did come together really quickly. And it was really cool to see, like, basically it come from nothing and be created into this, I don't know, like 40-minute long production that we wrote and created ourselves. And I think that that's a really hard thing to do given the short amount of time that we had to do it. Sorry. And our next question was, how much was filmed beforehand and how much was actually live today? And I think anyone can take that one, really.
I can take it. So this portion right now, this is completely live. What you just watched, like all the performances and stuff, of people like talking and acting and all that was all filmed, like what, 2-3 weeks ago. So yeah, this entire Q&A portion is completely live.
One interesting question would be, what would be our most defining moment throughout the performance? Does anyone have anything that stood out to them? It can be personal, something that happened for you. Yeah, Maddie?
I thought that Soleil's monologue at the end was just absolutely fantastic. Like, I don't know, I was just like, the first time I saw it, I was so blown away by it. And I just think that they did an amazing job with it. Like, it was just, for me, it was perfect. And it really gave the emotion that we were looking for in the production. So that was definitely the most defining moment for me.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that one.
So another question that we have is, what did the character who was talking to Brent do when they got their coffee and saw Brent steal? If anybody has the answer to that one might be more tricky, but
well, so that was my character, so I can go a little bit into like the character building around that one. So Alice, when she got her coffee before the other family, I was thinking about what would have happened there, because, you know, you've got to give your character some more depth than just what's in the monologue. And she did speak up, and she did offer the family her coffee, but I didn't feel like it was something important to put into the monologue, because it wasn't really about how much Alice is doing. It's more so about how we all need to be doing a better job. And Alice is no saint, and Alice is still learning. So I didn't feel like saying what she had done in that situation was the focus of the monologue and the message I was trying to send. However, when it came to Brent stealing, that was something that had happened earlier on in their friendship, and she did not say anything, because it's harder to stick up to your friends than it is to stick up to strangers, because there's a lot more at risk there. And no, she did not say anything in that situation. But as the situation with the coffee happened later, she had grown a lot, and she understood better, like, you have to speak up, otherwise nothing's going to get done. So yeah, that wasn't in the monologue for the focus. But yeah, she did not say anything when Brent stole, because, you know, she had some learning to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Sarah, I'm kind of curious, and this goes for everyone in the class. Through the process of writing, developing, performing in these scenes, how realistic do you feel it is for youth to be having these conversations at school with their friends, or actually saying something in a coffee shop? What do you sort of feel, you know, the reality is to this, or what you learned from this process about how you could speak up? Or I'm not too sure, but yeah, I'm just sort of curious about how the production might translate into some real life change for you.
Well, I can speak a bit to this if no one else wants to, or I can start and someone can add on. I feel like this show very, very, it really does reflect reality. These are situations that we have all seen so much in the last year, but have been going on for a very long time. When it comes to these conversations amongst youth, I find that it's becoming more and more common. These are conversations that certainly come up in my friend groups quite a bit, which is certainly inspiring to see, because I feel like this was a conversation that young people were left out of for a long time, because we were made to feel like we can't do anything. We're just teenagers, you know, what kind of impact can we have? But it's clear to see that teenagers are having a bigger and bigger role when it comes to social progress. And these conversations are becoming so much more common amongst our peers. When it comes to speaking up in a coffee shop and stuff like that, that is something I think a lot more progress needs to be done with. And I think more and more people are becoming comfortable. But the conversations really are where it starts. And that is something that I'm certainly seeing growing. And I think the next step is really, you know, making changes in immediate situations such as the coffee shop. Does anyone else have anything to add on?
I definitely could add on to what you were saying, Sarah. Yeah, I feel like those kind of situations are now being spoken up about. Kids, like teenagers and stuff, are being more like, this isn't right. So yeah, I feel like definitely it does like pertain to how things are in real life. I know that personally I've had to talk to one of my friends about saying some things. Um, but yeah, no, I feel like people have started learning like, hey, this isn't okay. What are you doing? You know? So, yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
I think that is all the questions that we have sent in from people. Unless, anybody in the class has anything they'd like to ask about. Yeah, sorry, Laura.
I wanted to know, does anyone feel changed because of this experience, going forward in life? I was just curious about that because I saw so many elements of the original video from the Making Change organization that you guys saw in this filming. And so I feel like maybe some of you have been permanently changed in a good way. So I was curious to know who wanted to speak out about that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear too from some voices that we haven't heard from yet.
I know that you've heard from me a lot, but I personally have felt very changed after watching the final product and throughout this entire class. I know that I've definitely I still have a lot to learn. As a white person, I definitely have a lot to learn, and I've been doing a lot of learning throughout this course. Um, and working with Making Change, I myself definitely have changed. Yeah.
Yeah, does anyone else have any personal experiences that you feel you might have noticed, like a change in yourself? It could be the smallest thing, any way that you feel like you've grown as a person through this production. Yeah, Kyra.
Well, to do with that, I just think it was quite refreshing to have this subject talked about neutrally in a classroom, in a safe space, and that it sort of opened my eyes to the fact that it can be done in a healthy, safe way in schools, and it doesn't always have to be with this negative stigma around it. So I think that's a really great thing to see happening.
Pertaining to what Kyra said, the marketing team got an email from Miss Elliott's class, a class at our school. She had just said thank you, and that this is a great addition to what they were discussing in class, actually. They had this huge discussion uh, about like racism and all that for her what class was it? Hold on. Her civics class. So yeah.
Yeah, Melanie?
I know for me, so I wrote music for the production. That was my role. And I know it was a very interesting thing to do because I've never written music in this capacity before. And I was really excited because I got to include a lot of elements from like the jazz and blues music, which is a big part of music history and is basically the reason we have rock and roll and pop music and hip hop. It all comes from the blues. So it was really fun for me to pay homage to that. And it was definitely an experience that I don't think I'll ever get to do again or something quite like this. But it was really fun to kind of push myself creatively like that. And I think I learned a lot.
Yeah, and really quickly, just let me say your compositions, they're all fantastic and they all worked like so well in every single scene. So I just wanted to say that to you because it was really great. Soleil?
I was just going to comment on how I've changed, not necessarily from an education standpoint, but also from the way I handle things in life. When I came into this performance, was my standards were really, really high, and I was overly critical of different lines that were said or ways that everything was really handled. Nothing could be right. And I'm not saying not to be critical, but I really got the chance to realize these are the first steps. And I kind of forgot that these are the first steps. So regardless of their hiccups, regardless of what things that were wrong and what things were positive, this is going to push towards change and more awareness, especially in the educational system, something that we've been needing for a long time, and it's only going to be honed over time. And these first steps are pushing towards that. So really, I'm very thankful, happy.
Does anyone else have anything they would like to say about how it changed or anything since doing this production?
Yeah.
If no one is going to say anything, I would like to acknowledge as a teacher how much learning this opportunity provided and how much I learned from all of you. And I wanted to let you know how grateful I am and proud of you I am that you engaged in this courageous and challenging conversation and took those first steps and we're role models in a sense. And I think you should all be incredibly proud of yourselves, because I think that you've really engaged in some amazing work, and I'm really excited that you got to share it with so many people today and tonight. So congratulations to every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Really quickly, we do have one email from Miss Elliott with a question. So I just wanted to get that out because I just saw it. The question was, what were the paper masks, the ones shown at the start with the people in the background? If anybody could take that.
Where's Anna?
Yeah.
She's our prop person extraordinaire, but really anyone.
Hi.
There she is.
Yeah, the masks, they kind of represent that everyone is kind of the same in a way, but they're also just to show the anonymity of some of the things we were saying. But making them was a really cool process that I got to do a lot of. Yeah, that's kind of what the masks are about.
Cool, great, thank you.
Amazing. So I think that brings us to the end of the Q&A. Thank you guys again so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed and learned something. That was our goal. So we hope you come out of this as a little bit more enlightened than you may have gone in.